Hi, this is Chris and welcome to Tiafo Garage. Today I want to give a little recap of Car Week, at least my experience during the time and what it's all about for me. And also I want to talk about my car. Some of you know what's going on with it, some of you don't. So this should be a pretty interesting update. But let's get to Car Week first. I've been going to Car Week ever since 2010 when I got my first Porsche Boxster. That was a lot of fun. I wasn't there to show my car, I was just there to look at cars and enjoy the scenery. I fell in love with Car Week and I've been going ever since then. It's escalated more to where now I go multiple days. I stay with friends. I enter shows. I've won awards. I'm really shocked with where my Car Week attendance has gone over the years. I never thought I would actually be showing cars there. My favorite show by far is the Quail. There's a great selection of cars. The food is amazing. It's limited, so it's not overcrowded. It's just a lot of fun. Unfortunately, on the downside, it is the most expensive show you will attend if you ever go there. But I do recommend it at least once in your life. I consider it a bucket list item. I'm lucky that I've got to go 3 times at this point. But this was the first year that I showed my car there. I got to show my green 1975 Dino 308 GT4, which they sat between a purple Dino 206 GT and a red Dino 246 GT. One car that really stole the show for me was a 1938 Hispano Suiza. I'm not normally into pre-war cars, but this thing was amazing. It looked like an airplane. It was big. It was beautiful. It had Art Deco styling to it. It was absolutely amazing. It was actually used at the Hispano Suiza display, showcasing their new car, and they had this one there as well. This is a one-off car built for a French pilot back in 1938. He wanted the car to look as much like an airplane as possible. The windows, they push out and up. The wheels look like landing gear on a plane. The doors, they push out and slide back. It is a crazy car and absolutely stunning. Another car I really liked there too was a 1953 Seata 208S. This is a pretty rare car. I've never seen one before. I did just speak to the owner briefly. He said the only time this car was ever showed in public was in 1953 when it was built. So it was really a special treat to get to see it there. And it had just completed a 12-year restoration process. Another show I really enjoy attending is Concorso Italiano. I've been attending it many years. I don't know how many. I've showed my car there the last 3 years. And it's always fun. There's always a lot of good people there, a lot of great cars there. In fact, I think one of our best videos was Concorso. We had some really good interviews with great people showing us their amazing cars. There was some drama going on behind the scenes. I think the ownership for Concorso has changed hands a couple of times during the past year. There's just certain expectations you have when you're showing a car at a concourse that just weren't met this year. So I'm uncertain of the future of Concorso. I hope it carries on and I hope it turns out to be better than ever. So we'll see what happens to it next year. One car I absolutely fell in love with at Concorso was a 1968 Maserati Sebring. When Greg and I approached it, there was just something special about that car. It just exuded style and elegance and class. We got to speak with the owner, super great guy, gave us an interview, which you can see in our Concorso Italiano video. And all I can tell you is I really want that car. It was stunning. It was amazing. Everything about it was perfect. Great stance, great style. Something I'd really like to see in my garage, and maybe one day I will. But that is definitely a new favorite car of mine. Well, Hopper, how did you enjoy Car Week? You didn't enjoy Car Week because I was gone and you didn't get to come with me. Sorry about that. One thing Greg and I did this year was attend Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach isn't a show I normally attend as it has a big focus on pre-war cars. I love pre-war cars as far as looking at them. They're beautiful machinery. They're amazing. It's fascinating to see where cars began and where they are now. But I don't know anything about pre-war cars, so it's just not something that interests me a lot. This year, however, they did have a display of wedge concept cars. Of course, I'm a big wedge car fan, as you well know. So I went explicitly for that reason. just to see those cars. So it was really cool to get to see in person some of these concepts I've only ever seen pictures of, like the Ferrari 512S Modulo. Forgive me if I pronounced that wrong. That was incredibly cool, beautiful car. The 1970 Lancia Stratos HF0. Amazing car. It's hard to believe that thing is real, but it is. It's so cool. The 1979 Aston Martin Bulldog is another car I've loved forever. I used to have a poster of that on my wall alongside the Lamborghini Countach back in the 80s. So to see that in person was really cool. And of course, we saw the Ford Probe 1 Ghia concept that sadly burned to the ground after Pebble Beach. That was really terrible. Another really weird car to see in person was the United Nude low-res car. If I remember correctly, this car was really just, it was designed by a fashion company as a display for, I think, their fashion shows. It is drivable. I don't think it has anything more than like maybe a go-kart engine. I could be completely wrong, but it's not a real street car. Most of these wedge cars on display were concepts. But it was cool to see it in person, and it's called the low-res car because they imagined a Lamborghini Countach and what it would look like in extremely low resolution. And there you have just the basic straight lines. My personal favorite concept wedge was the 1976 Ferrari 308 GT Rainbow. A lot of people don't like this car. I think it's kind of cool, but it was built on a 1976 Ferrari Dino 308 GT4 chassis. And the interior is very much 308 GT4 looking. Really cool to get to see that car in person. And it's the first time I've ever seen it in person. And as a diehard fan of the 308 GT4, I consider that a pretty awesome thing to get to encounter. So there was an event that put a damper on Car Week for me. That was the trip home. Let me put this in perspective. I live in Santa Rosa. Greg lives in San Jose, and we were headed to Monterey. So on the trip there, I left Santa Rosa, went to Greg's house in San Jose, and then we caravaned together down to Monterey. By the time we reached Salinas, which was only about 10 minutes away from our destination, my car was out of oil. And that was really shocking. At least nothing showed on the dipstick, which means it probably had about 3 or 4 quarts in the car itself. We had oil with us, so we were able to put it in and get it to a level where we were comfortable getting home. And then we bought more oil and topped it all off while we were there. Meanwhile, blue smoke was coming out, but we knew about this, and I was assured by my mechanic that it wasn't anything to worry about. On the trip home, we left Monterey. Greg stops in San Jose at his place. I still have another 2 hours to go. I drive through San Francisco, cross the Golden Gate Bridge, northbound on 101, almost through the Robin Williams Tunnel, when my engine stops. Now, that's a pretty scary thing to have happen because that's a big highway. It's usually really busy, but I was really fortunate it wasn't that busy and I was able to safely get over to the shoulder and come to a stop. I did try starting the car, didn't want to start. I waited a little bit, tried again, punching the gas. It did start with me punching the gas, and I had to keep the gas pedal pressed in order for it to stay running. But while it was running, it was extremely rough, and there was a really terrible rattling sound, and I knew this couldn't be good. I had it towed to a nearby repair shop in San Rafael, and 3 days later, they called me to tell me what happened. It would appear a piston ring failed. There's bore scoring and metal shavings inside the engine. This basically constitutes an entire engine rebuild. And that's not something cheap on a car like this. That's north of $30,000. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a spare $30,000 lying around for a car repair. If I'm going to spend 30 grand on a car, that's usually because I'm buying one, and usually it's not even that much, let's be honest. So I had to figure out what I was going to do financially about this. I can't afford the repair now, so the obvious thing was I'm having the car brought back to my home, and I'm going to put it up on these dollies I have over here, and it's going to sit in my garage until I can figure it out. I do have a few plans or strategies, but it's still going to be 2, maybe 3 years before I can even start to get that fixed. The thought of walking away from it certainly entered my mind, like, well, I should just sell it, buy something else. But the reality is, this has been my dream car since I was a 17-year-old kid. It took me 35 years to get it, and every moment I've had it, I've absolutely loved it. I accomplished a lifelong dream of mine, and I can't just throw it away. I decided I'm not going to walk away from it. I am going to try to get it fixed. It's just going to be a while. So my beloved 308 GT4 is going to be out of commission for a bit, but we will see it back on the road at some point. This has been Chris with Tiafo Garage. We really appreciate you watching our videos. I really hope you're enjoying them. We do have more coming for you, so stay tuned and we'll see you on the road.
Tiafo Garage.